So today, we're going to take one of the most important apprenticeship standards out there for data engineers, K1, and turn it from what feels like a checkbox exercise into a powerful, practical playbook you can actually use. And to really see why this matters, let's just jump right into a story about a company that is having a really, really bad day. All right, picture this. You're at a food delivery company. Let's call them Hungry Now. It's 12:30 p.m., the lunch rush is hitting its absolute peak, and it's chaos. The business team is totally flying blind because their main dashboard just crashed. They have no clue which restaurants are getting slammed and which ones could use more orders.
And oh, it gets worse. Outside the office, customers are getting seriously frustrated. Their delivery ETAs are bouncing around like crazy, and that's just killing trust. And you guessed it, the support tickets are flooding in. The data that's supposed to power the whole operation, it's failing.
So what's the deal here? The bottom line is simple. The very data products that were designed to run the business are now the things breaking the business, right when it matters the most. And this isn't just some tech problem, it's a customer problem. It's a revenue problem. So how do we fix this kind of chaos and make sure it never, ever happens again? Well, this is exactly where the K1 standard comes in. It's not just some abstract theory, it's a professional playbook for taking real ownership of our data products. Now, officially, K1 is all about the processes to monitor and optimize your data products. But a better way to think about it is this. It's about making the shift from just building things to being truly responsible for making sure they're always available, always fast, and always trustworthy. You know, a really great way to get your head around this is to think of your data systems just like a car engine. Availability, that's your engine oil. Without it, the whole thing just seizes up and stops. Performance is like your temperature gauge, right? It warns you before you overheat. And management, well, that's your service manual, the complete guide to keeping everything running in perfect condition. So let's start with that first pillar, availability. This is the absolute bedrock. I mean, if the data isn't even there when people need it, nothing else you do matters. It's all about keeping the lights on. So for our team at Hungry Now, what does availability actually mean? It means their partner APIs are up and running, their dashboards are loading fast, and those daily executive reports land in the inbox on time every single time. It's basically the promise you make to the business. This thing will work when you need it. Right, but you can't just cross your fingers and say it's available. You've got to prove it. And professionals do this by setting what are called service level objectives, or SLOs. Those are your promises, your targets. And then you track them with specific metrics, your service level indicators, or SLIs. So for that API, the target might be 99.9% uptime, and you track that by keeping a close eye on the API error rate. Okay, so let's go back to that dashboard crash. A data engineer who really gets this K1 stuff doesn't just hit the reboot button and hope for the best. Nope, they dig in, they investigate, they find out that huge traffic spikes are the real problem, and then they implement a real solution, like autoscaling, which just automatically adds more server power when things get busy. And the results? Now the system is resilient. It can handle even bigger peaks without breaking a sweat. So what's in your toolkit for this? Well, it's a pretty standard set of gear. You'd be using monitoring platforms like Grafana or Azure Monitor to watch your systems, alerting tools like Slack or PagerDuty to get pinged the second something looks wrong, and infrastructure solutions like autoscaling to build that resilience right in from the start. Okay, so your system is available. That's fantastic. But is it fast? That brings us to our second pillar, performance. This is all about getting rid of those soul-crushing loading spinners and turning frustrating waits into moments where people can actually get work done. And look, the impact here can be absolutely massive. At Hungry Now, the analysts were complaining that a key query took 45 seconds to run. I mean, that's forever when you're in the zone trying to explore data. After a bit of optimization work, that time plummeted to just 3 seconds. That's a 15x improvement. And this wasn't some kind of magic. It was just solid data engineering. The team stopped doing full table scans, which is super inefficient, and instead partitioned the data by date. They swapped out slow CSV files for fast columnar Parquet files. That's a huge win because the database only has to read the columns it actually needs for the query. And finally, they added indexes on the key columns people search for the most. Every single step was a deliberate win for performance. All right, now for our final pillar, and you could argue it's the most important one, management. Your data can be available 24/7 and lightning fast, but if the numbers are wrong, who cares? It's all worthless, or even worse, it's dangerous. This is about making sure your data is totally trustworthy.
Now, data management is a pretty big term, but it really covers all the critical stuff. Tracking where your data comes from, that's its lineage, knowing who owns it, how up to date it is, and most importantly, checking its quality. This is the discipline that actually builds trust in your data.
Here's a perfect example from Hungry Now. A data engineer spots that new restaurants are showing up with a 0% rating, which looks awful to customers. They dig in and find that the source data is incomplete. The restaurant was added, but its reviews weren't linked yet. And here's the key. The real fix isn't just patching the bad data. It's about improving the process, like adding a validation rule to stop bad data from ever getting in and automatically pinging the data owner to fix the problem at the source. And yep, you guessed it, there's a whole toolkit for this too. We use frameworks like Great Expectations or DB tests to actually define and code what good data should look like. We use observability platforms to monitor quality over time, and orchestrators like Airflow to track that lineage and see exactly how data is moving through our systems. Okay, so you've done all this amazing work. The system is up, it's fast, the data is clean. Awesome. But there's one last crucial step, especially if you're an apprentice. You have to prove it. You have to be able to explain the impact you made. Seriously, I can't stress this enough. Doing the work is only half the job. For any kind of professional review, any assessment, you have to be able to clearly articulate what you did, why you did it, and what the outcome was for the business.
So here's a super simple but really powerful formula you can use to frame your story. 1. Describe the incident. The restaurant query was taking 45 seconds. 2. Show your tools. So I used BigQuery's profiling tools to investigate. 3. Explain your fix. I repartitioned the data and switched it to Parquet. And 4, and this is the most important part, state the business impact, which cut query time down to 3 seconds so our analysts could work way faster. That's how you show real ownership.
So let me just leave you with this one last thought. As data engineers, it's easy to get obsessed with uptime and query speed. And don't get me wrong, those things are vital. But they're really just the price of admission. Because the real question, the one that ultimately defines your value, is this. Can people actually trust the numbers you're giving them?